and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted to be joined virtually from San Antonio, Texas to Los Angeles, California with Tara Jackson with her incredible film, Beyond the Fuchsias. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip.
You remember last year when I told you I was thinking about becoming a doctor?
Oh God, I thought you were joking about that.
I've been accepted into King's College in London.
Oh, that is great news.
Isn't it
Well
amazing?
done. Well done, love. Well?
London? But your home's here with your family.
Tara, you are in San Antonio, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you for making this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing your film to New Filmmakers LA. I just was mesmerized by your story and by the incredible performances and the time and everything. But for those that haven't seen it, Tara, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Sure. So it's set in 1963 in my hometown of Kettering in England. It's a small town, and it centers around Tracy. She's a 17-year-old, highly intelligent. She's working class, and when we first meet her, she's just landed a scholarship to a top university, which is highly unusual back in the day because they just weren't handed out to women at the time. And in the same breath, we also realize that because she is under 18, she needs the head of a household permission in order for her to go. And that wouldn't normally be an issue for any normal family. However, her mother has some very particular beliefs. She believes a woman should be at home with a husband, taking care of her children, even though Tracy doesn't have that yet. You know, she doesn't believe women should be gallivanting off on their own. And not only that, it's a story about how the whole family have been somewhat confined to live their life how society deems they should be living their life. And it's them, a couple of them, breaking free of that as well.
Tara, there's so much in your film, and what I love about this family that we're experiencing is that each and every one has got kind of different things that are happening to them. Mm-hmm. And as we get, the story goes on, different kind of restrictions of not just that time, but something you mentioned, the festival too. There's quite a distinctive, and particularly in the 60s, of the sort of working class, upper class of the UK, and, mm-hmm. and that's a clear defiant in terms of what you feel like you're allowed to have, what the expectancy is, what is just orchestrated in that time period, but even kind of existing today. There's so much in there, Tara. But firstly, where did the inspiration come from in you turning this into a film?
Yeah, so the inspiration, it came from, I realized I needed to write a screenplay. I had an idea for a feature, but I didn't know how to write a screenplay. So I had to, whilst I was learning, I had to write a short first. And I had to focus on something that I knew. I knew working class, I knew England, I knew my family. And I knew what it was like to be told, you can't do that. You can't do that, not because the people I love fought, not because they wanted to hurt me, but because that was their mentality. The outside sources had trickled in and they believed, you can't do that, So yeah. I wanted to put it all together. So that was the inspiration. And like I said, it's loosely based on a true story of my family.
Yeah.
And so I used that. I went back to an incident that happened, and my nan told me about it, about my granddad. That really happened. His name was Harry, and it really happened. Luckily, my granddad didn't actually pass. He survived it. But that incident did happen, and then as she was telling me, I kept. All she could say to me was the shame it brought onto the family. And this was 50 years ago. not that he broke my heart or anything like that. It was the shame she was so concerned about, you know?
Yeah. And that, I mean, again, I think we have to sort of look back and think how far we moved in that short period of time.
Yeah.
You know, that shame was pretty much the top of the agenda, whereas now we maybe think differently. It may look at more of the you know, just discovering who you are, identity, and all kinds of stuff, you know, which is different. I just want to say I'm an absolute shock, Tara. This was like your first time at screenwriting, because you are a terrific writer. Like, I mean, the writing was just I could get enough of the story element and this family and this characters that you created. I'm curious about that though, because like it must be a little bit scary writing your first script and then having people act out your first script and then being part of a production. Like, how was that experience for you?
That was incredible. Having that first experience when I had all the auditions come in as well. And these human beings were reading the words that I wrote, you know, and they were these characters that had been living in my head for so long, you know. It was a pretty incredible experience, to be honest. It was.
And I'm super impressed with just, you know, I was completely in the 60s, and you know, I know we discussed the festival. I love the 60s too. It was such a huge moment of change, you know, in society. And I thought your production was incredible. Tell us a little bit more, because I'm sure it's really tough making a piece in that time period and getting all the elements right.
Yeah, so my production designer, she was incredible, and her attention to detail was just spot on. And she would tell me if I was way off, not even way off, if I was in the 1970s with something, you know. And she completely transformed that house. And everything you see in the kitchen / living room wasn't there before. She completely transformed it. And it was incredible with she did the wardrobe too. And because it was during the pandemic, we had a little extra time as well, because our production got pushed back because the world shut down, didn't it? So
yeah,
we had that extra time and just to nail it as well. But I was really lucky that I was put in touch with Danielle. So lucky.
Yeah, no, definitely. But you know what was so interesting too, like obviously the root of, we're all hoping that, you know, this young talented girl, you know, gets the permission, you know, to go and become the great person that she is, and have a career that she deserves. And we're challenged with that because we're obviously in support of this young 17-year-old girl, you know, and her sister's obviously supporting her too. But what I love about the arc of the story is that you really get to see also as it develops from the parents' perspective, and actually you start to really feel for them in their generation during that time of what they've been restricted of, you know. And I love the arc that you showed that as well, because you almost couldn't blame how they were because of what they have been told from their parents. And this was intergenerational, just going down the list, you know. And was that something that was important to you in articulating, because you really captured everyone's perspective?
Yeah, that was important to me. I didn't want there to be any bad guys, you know. I wanted them to, I wanted you to in some way feel for all of them.
Yeah, we did.
And understand that people are the way they are because of certain things that have happened in their life. They're not just born this way, you know. And that was very important for me to get across. Yeah,
I thought you did it so well, and it was refreshing to see, and you know, no quote unquote bad guys, you know, because I just, you know, again, I think it's you only know what you know, you're only taught what you're taught, and it was, but it was great to see this breakthrough of, like, it was sort of the early beginnings of, like, you know, women being allowed careers, you know, which is ridiculous, but it's like, in those particular families, that's how it was. And were you trying to kind of show the dynamic of just how vast like the working class and the kind of upper class was in that society in the UK, and still kind of has that classism today? Yeah, absolutely. And because I'd experienced it as well, I wanted to get that element in there. It's like living in different worlds if you don't belong to the other class, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I did want that to at least come through a little bit. Yeah, you know? Yeah. No, because sorry, because you don't really have that in America, you know. No. But it's still. I think it's still. I mean, I haven't lived in the UK for 10 years, but when I was there, it was still evident. No, I think it does. I think it's a kind of old-fashioned thing that still does exist. You know, that's been existing for many. But you know, we've got a lot to. We've come so far. We've still got a lot of work to do, and you know, there should be access for everybody. And yeah, I'm sorry, I've got a gazillion. I could have unlimited questions about it, but you know, I'm just curious. Looking back from making this film, like you should be so proud of what you've created. What have you kind of learned from this experience, and maybe what you've learned, or any challenges that you faced, and any recommendations to other filmmakers that want to follow in your footsteps? There was I'll go start with the recommendations, because just because you haven't gone to school, or you're not in a position to go to school, to university to learn filmmaking, don't let that stop you, because I'm living proof that you don't need it. The amount of literature, the amount of sources that are out there, if you have the passion to tell a story, you're going to figure out a way to do it. So don't let your age stop you. I'm pushing it a little bit now, but don't let that stop you either. I didn't go to film school to learn directing or filmmaking or anything, but just what I learned from just doing, man, it was priceless. It really was. I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm not going to make them again. So, but it was a wonderful experience. I'm so glad, and you know, honestly, I'm still thinking about that family. I'm still in your film, and that's a special place to feel as an audience member, but hopefully special to feel as a filmmaker. What is next? Do we see more from this family? What are you doing next? Like, please keep creating and making. Yeah, so that feature I first mentioned that I had to write, I wrote it, and I'm going to put that on hold for a little bit, because I was going to move on to that next. But I've also wrote the pilot for the Beyond the Fuchsias, and we delve more into her actually going to the university, and then the classism there. She'll have to live between two worlds, the upper class and going back home to the working class. But I think, to be honest, I'm going to I might put that on hold as well and just write the feature for Beyond the Fuchsias, because I have a lot of unfinished business with this family, and I think I want to wrap it up. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's a great sign when, you know, we want more from the characters, because, you know, you created them, and now we want more. And I think that's only a blessing, you know, when you've got that. So I'm so excited that you're going to be, you know, continuing on this journey. And, you know, also this time period as well. Like, you know, there's a very famous you know, TV series in England called Heartbeat, you know, which really captured the sort of the 60s as well. And, you know, it was wonderful. And you know, but it was really great to see this town in Kettering, you know, and just, you know, and just see their perspective there as well. Like, I'm very excited you're making the feature, and Tara, please, you know, keep writing more movies for us, because thank you. You've got great talent. So, you know, we appreciate you bringing it to NewFilmmakers LA. Thank you. Thank you for the experience. It's been an incredible experience. It really has. Thank you. Well, welcome to the family. We look forward to having more of your work with us and in the future. But congratulations on this film, and we can't wait for the future.
Thank you.